In this tutorial, I'll show you how to configure an auto attendant using our admin tool, OpEasy. Auto attendants provide a wide flexibility in their configuration, so in this tutorial, I will set up a specific scenario, and as we're setting up the auto attendant, I'll show you various options that may be of interest. There are a few things that must be set up and ready to go before an auto attendant can be configured. The auto attendant standard service must be assigned to the group that will be adding and configuring an auto attendant. This is probably already done. I just mention it because it is a prerequisite. The phone number that will be used to call the auto attendant must be assigned to the group. The recorded audio files for the auto attendant, for example, "Welcome to the Dallas office," press 1 for customer service. The audio file or files need to be in a WAV or WMA file format. The recommended settings are 16 kHz, 16-bit mono in a WAV or WMA file format. If you're going to use a schedule, for example, business hours or a holiday schedule, then these schedules need to be set up ahead of time. My goal in this tutorial is to set up an auto attendant that will have 6 menu choices. And within one menu choice, I will show you how to set up a submenu. For this example, I will set up one of the menus as sales, and the submenu will prompt the user for US sales or international sales. The phone number that someone will call to reach this auto attendant is 469-365-3008. If you are not sure what number to use, check with the person that administers the phone numbers on your system. Now, before you set up an auto attendant, you need to have a plan. While every company's setup will be slightly different, most of the information in this tutorial should apply to your setup. To help me set up my auto attendant, I've written a list of how I want my auto attendant to work. The first item is the phone number a customer or person would call to reach my auto attendant. For my example, that was 469-365-3008. The second item is how many different menus will be on the auto attendant. I have 6 menus in the following order. 0 will transfer to the operator or receptionist. 1 will play an announcement giving them the hours of operations and directions. 2 will transfer them to customer service. 3 will transfer them to sales. 4 will give them the option to dial by name. And the pound sign will repeat the menu. I also want a submenu for option 3 so that customers can select US sales or international sales. And I want the person to be able to dial an extension at any time if they know their party's number. The last item is using schedules and having the auto attendant play different greetings and give different choices during business hours, after hours, or holidays. With this information, I now have a plan, and I am ready to configure the auto attendant. So from the OpEasy application, click on Provisioning, Virtual Users, then click on Auto Attendants. Auto attendants are set up by groups. So from the drop-down menu, select a group. For this example, I will select the Dallas office. To add a new auto attendant, click on the Add button. The first field is Name. Name it something meaningful and easy to understand. I will name this auto attendant Dallas, Maine Auto Attendant. The next field is Auto Attendant ID. Again, let's try to make it something meaningful. I will type Dallas, Maine, AA, with no spaces. The next field, Auto Attendant Type, may not have a drop-down menu. Instead, the word Standard may be displayed, and no action will be required. However, if there is a drop-down menu, you will need to select Standard. The Standard option is what allows submenus. We will see this later in the tutorial. If you are using departments, then select the department that will be implementing this auto attendant. Select the phone number from the drop-down list for this auto attendant. To the right is Activate Phone Number, and there are 2 choices, Activate or Do Not Activate. If I select Activate when I finish and click on the OK button, the system will save this auto attendant and the phone number will be live. The other option is Do Not Activate. This would be used if you wanted to set up the auto attendant ahead of time, and then, at a later date, you could come back and activate the number, and then go live. For this scenario, we are ready to take calls, so I will select Activate. When I'm finished with this configuration and I click on the OK button at the top of the page, this number and Auto Attendant will go live. The next field is extension. If you would like the Auto Attendant to be dialed internally, meaning someone within the group could dial the extension number. For this example, I'm not going to use an extension, so I will leave it blank. The next option is voicemail. By default, the Auto Attendant is set up with no voicemail. The idea is that when a person calls the Auto Attendant, they will be routed to the area or person that needs to handle that call, and if appropriate, they will have voicemail. But if you need to set up voicemail on an Auto Attendant, here's how you would do it. Back towards the top of the page is a field titled Service. If you click on the drop-down menu, you will see the choice Voicemail. When I select Voicemail, a new tab is added to the right, and this gives me the ability to set up voicemail with standard voicemail settings. I am not going to set up voicemail, so I will leave the voicemail type set to No Voicemail. Then I will return to the Auto Attendant tab and continue to the next field, Calling Party ID. For the first and last name fields, I will name my Auto Attendant Dallas Main AA. Entering the phone number is optional. For this example, I will enter the assigned phone number 469-365-3008. The next field is Schedules. As I said before, if you're going to use schedules, then you need to set them up prior to configuring the Auto Attendant. I created a business hours schedule that I named Business Hours 7x7, and I created a holiday schedule that I named Holidays 2016. If you are not sure how to build a schedule, there is a separate tutorial available on our website. Depending on which website you go to, the tutorial will be under either User Portal Tutorials or ClearSpan Portals. The tutorial is titled ClearSpan Schedules. The next field is Dialing Options. This defines what level of dialing you will allow in this Auto Attendant. You can choose Enterprise, Group, or Department. I'll leave the extension dialing and name dialing as enterprise-wide. Name dialing order works with the Dial by Name feature and determines whether callers are allowed to begin entering either the last name or the first name of the person they want to reach. Under Services, you can add additional services to the Auto Attendant. Just remember, some services require and use licenses. I'm not going to add any additional services to my Auto Attendant. Now it's time to move on to the next tab. Click on the Optional tab to view and change optional values such as time zone, language information, and aliases used to place and receive calls. The next tab is Menus. If you're going to use schedules, then under the menu selection, select which schedule you want to configure. From the drop-down list, I'll select and start with Business Hours. The next field is Menu Options. This is where I will use the audio file I recorded earlier, giving my customers instructions on which keypad numbers to press. I recorded my audio file in a 16 kHz, 16-bit mono format, which is the recommended ClearSpan audio format. The first step is to click on Personal Greeting, then click on the Browse button. Navigate to where the file is stored, highlight the file, and click Open or OK. So let's continue with Enable First Level Extension Dialing. This option allows a person to dial an extension at any time. In my greeting, I might say something like, if you know your party's extension, you may dial it at any time. If you want this option enabled, then check the box. Now let's set up the menu keys. Before we start, let me talk about each of the actions in the drop-down list. Transfer with Prompt will play a prompt while your caller is being transferred. Here's what it would sound like. For customer service, press 2.
Your call is being transferred. Please hold.
Transfer without prompt will not play a prompt while your caller is being transferred. Here's what that would sound like. For customer service, press 2. Transfer to the operator transfers your call to the operator or receptionist. Transfer to submenu enables additional submenus that will prompt your caller to provide additional input before routing the call. Name dialing allows your caller to call a person in the directory by using the keypad to spell the person's name. Extension dialing allows your caller to dial an extension. This is different than first-level extension dialing. If you select extension dialing, then they will have to wait and select this option before they can dial an extension. With first-level extension dialing, they can dial an extension at any time. Transfer to mailbox allows your caller to be transferred to a mailbox. Play announcement. This will play a pre-recorded message. You'll be prompted to upload the audio file. Repeat menu will replay the greeting, and exit will disconnect the call. Here is a list of what I want my auto attendant to do. When they press 0, transfer the call to the receptionist. When they press 1, play my business hours and directions audio file. When they press 2, I will transfer them to customer service. When they press 3, I will transfer them to a sales submenu, where I will ask them to select U.S. sales or international sales. Then I will transfer them to the appropriate person. When they press 4, I will let them dial a name in the directory. And when they press the pound sign, I will repeat the audio greeting. So let's begin. When you are programming the menu keys, you must always start with the action drop-down list. Then you can type your description and perform the action data. I'll start with 0. From the action drop-down list, I will select Transfer to Operator. Then I will type the description, Receptionist. And I will input the phone number of the receptionist. In this case, 34001. Let's move on to key 1. From the drop-down list, I will select Play Announcement. I will type the description, business hours, and directions. Be aware, the description box has limited space, so you may need to abbreviate to get your text to fit. Then click on the Browse button. Navigate to the location of the audio file, highlight it, and upload the audio file that will play this announcement. For key number 2, I will select Transfer with Prompt. Type my description, customer service, and input the phone number for customer service. In this case, it's 33017. For key number 3, I will select Transfer to Submenu. Type in my description, Sales, Submenu. Notice under Action Data, it says No Submenu Available. So let's go build a submenu. Near the top of the page, click on the Submenus tab. Now we need to add a submenu, so I will click on the Add Submenu button. In the Submenu ID box, I will type Sales Submenu. I'll click on the Personal Greetings radio button, click on the Browse button, navigate to the audio file, and click Open or OK. The audio message simply tells the callers to press 1 for U.S. sales and to press 2 for international sales. So for key 1, I will select the action Transfer with Prompt, type in the description, U.S. sales, and input the phone number of the group that handles U.S. sales. In this case, that's 33018. For key number 2, I will select Transfer with Prompt, type in the description, international sales, and input the phone number of the group that handles international sales, 33019. Also notice that key 9 will take the callers back to the previous menu. For my example, that was my main menu. Oh, and one more thing. When you're recording the personal greeting, be sure to include the instructions that they can press 9 to return to the previous menu. When I'm finished with this submenu, I will click OK. I will click on the Menu tab and continue where I left off, key number 3. Under Action Data, now I can select the Sales submenu. I will continue with key number 4 and select Name Dialing. Type in the description. A quick note regarding name dialing. The names will be spelled how they were entered into the system when they were built in the User section. For the pound key, I will select Repeat Menu and type in the description. That completes what I want to do for the Business Hours menu. We have 2 small tasks left. We still need to set up After Hours and Holiday menus. I will select the After Hours menu. For my scenario, all I want to do is for the menu to play a personal greeting that says, "We are closed," and to call back during business hours. This is a very simple setup, but you may want to provide additional options and access. For example, you could set up key number 1 to forward to an after-hours service or a voicemail box. You could record an after-hours greeting that says, "We are currently closed, but if you have a security issue, press 1 to be transferred to our security desk. Or record a greeting that says, if this is an emergency, press 1, and you could transfer the call to your cell phone. I think you get the idea. The system is very flexible and can meet whatever business needs you have. Now I'll set up the holiday menu. Again, the setup can be as simple or as sophisticated as you need it. For my example, I'm going to play a simple generic holiday greeting that just says, we are closed for the holiday. I will click on the OK button and return to the main menu Auto Attendant screen. And there's the Auto Attendant I just built. Notice the checkbox on the left. If the box is checked, then the Auto Attendant is active. If you uncheck the box and click Apply or OK, the Auto Attendant will no longer be active. On the right, you can view the configuration of your Auto Attendant, or you can edit the Auto Attendant. The last thing I want to mention is when you come back to the screen in the future, you will need to select your group and then click on the search button to bring up your auto attendants. This completes this tutorial on how to set up and configure an auto attendant.